Hey guys, my name is Kelsey at Mellowstate. I am a full-time reseller and today I'm going to give you a tour of my inventory space. There have been a lot of changes to my inventory space recently because I switched from one inventory system to another. It's a little chaotic out here, and in the next few weeks I actually would like to readjust some things, but I did want to show you it as it is right now. Being a full-time reseller takes up a lot of space. I have this indoor outdoor space that I use to hold all my inventory. It is climate controlled, but I know a lot of you watching who may be interested in getting into full-time reselling may be trying to figure out how much space they actually need to hold the amount of inventory they want to hold. So this hopefully will give you an idea of what it takes. I believe I have around 900 active listings right now. So you're going to see all that behind me here in a second. I don't think this space is used as well as maybe I could be using it. We have a lot of vertical space that's not being used right now, but this is where my inventory space is at as of right now. Okay, I am standing at the entrance of my space right now. This is a quick little overview. It's like an indoor-outdoor space. It is connected to our home, but it is not a shed. So this is what you see when you walk in, and then to the left here, behind the door, I have more metal shelving. Let's start here because this is what's in front of me. I have this metal shelf unit that I got off Facebook Marketplace. This shelving is where I hold all of my hard goods. And as you can tell, compared to the space that I'm in right now, all the rest of the stuff here is clothing. So I am by no means a hard goods seller, and I don't really have an inventory system for my hard goods because I sell so little of them. So I just stack items where I find space. And truthfully, down here, I even have extra clothing pieces. This whole shelf is not even being used for hard goods. I do have a lot of vertical space here that I could put some type of storage system on, but for right now, it's blank. Maybe in the future, we'll do something like that. To the right of my hard goods, I have a tote of boxes. These totes right here hold items that are ready to be photographed. So I have sourced these or I've pulled them from bulk buyouts, and these are all things that I plan to list myself. So when the time comes and I have a listing day, I am really easily able to access the items that are ready to be photographed and list just by coming down to this space and pulling these boxes up to my office one by one. I really like having a back stock of inventory that's ready to be listed, especially going into winter months, because as winter comes, snow comes, and it's maybe not as easily to source. So having a pile like this is very important to me. And now I don't recommend having hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of items if you are a part-time seller. That's what we call in the reselling community a death pile. Other people call it a money pile. I do like to have a backlog of inventory, but it's not to the point where I would call it hoarding. I know there are a lot of people out there that buy and never actually end up listing. At this point, my Mellowstate, what you're watching right now, is a business. So I constantly have items coming in, but I also constantly have items coming out. So there's a big difference between having inventory and essentially a safety net for my business compared to having a death pile that I haven't touched in weeks or even months or years. That can become a dangerous game to play if you're a part-time or smaller seller. As a matter of fact, this entire pile was not even here just a few days ago. I pulled a bunch of stuff from some bulk buyouts and I did some sourcing. So I restocked this pile, and that's just what I mean by these items are constantly coming in and coming out. It's not the same stuff sitting here at all times. All right, moving over to this next shelving unit. I have a bunch of clothing in bags, and on the upper shelf up here, I have all of my purses or cosmetic bags or any type of bag goes up in these 3 boxes right here. I can usually fit all the bags I have listed at once in these boxes, which is fabulous. This is when it kind of gets a little bit confusing because I have clothing over here that is listed. And then on these two shelves over here, I also have clothing that is listed. So I'm going to kind of explain what the difference is between these shelves really quick. Down here, starting on this shelf, I have all of my new inventory system. So starting from here and then all the way up, this is all newer listed inventory, and I'm using the SKU system that you see here. It's not an infinite system. I use sticky little stickers and these clear plastic bags. They go from 1 all the way up to the hundreds right now. So this shelf is my new system. From up here and down, all the way down to the bottom of this one, and then turning around, all of this stuff is older inventory and my older inventory system. So for this system, I was using these gallon size bags, and I had the number or the SKU number written on them. And then once the item sold, I would take the item out of this bag and then reuse the bag. So this SKU number was basically infinite. I would reuse it over and over and over again. And that is the same across the board for all of these different boxes. Each box had a letter and then it had a number correlated. So this is box G, this is box E right here, this is box D, and it just went in alphabetical order. This inventory system worked for me for years, but I am moving away from it. I do love the idea of recycling these bags over and over again, but as my business grows, this system, this newer system with the plastic bags that don't get reused, just makes a little bit more sense for me. One of the reasons is sorting through my inventory totes is so much easier. Now when an item sells, all I have to do is look at the SKU number, and rather than going through the box and finding the number, I just have to basically file through my new inventory system and it's in order, and it has cut me down significantly on the amount of time I have spent looking for my inventory. On top of saving me time, it's also made my items, it's presented my items a little bit nicer to my buyers, having it in some type of protection to go out in the mail. Now, I'm a firm believer that you don't need that protection for an item to get to a buyer safely. I went years and years and years without wrapping my item in any type of way through the mail system, and I've gotten thousands of good reviews. But I think this system has just started to make more sense for me and the tidiness of my business. It also takes up way less space because the items are folded in a way that, like I said, you can kind of file through them. They're just stacked very nicely. Whereas my old system, when I was using these Ziploc bags, they kind of don't hold their shape in their box, just go loose, and it makes it difficult to find things. Both systems are absolutely amazing. One system, my newer one, does cost a little bit more money, but it saves me time in other areas, and I think it's worth it. I do have these two different transportation units that I use for my business really often. I wanted to mention them really quick because I use them all the time. These two bags right here are Hulken bags. They are on wheels and they have really big straps that move around. I take these to consignment shop sales or buy sell trade store sales, places that don't offer bags or carts. These come in great handy. You can also take them to the post office, of course, with all your packages and sales in them. And then I have this cart over here, which I got off the TikTok shop. I've had this for over a year now. It's gotten some love, that's for sure, but it's held up great. I absolutely love this thing for taking packages and sales from the inside of my house to my mailbox outside. I also use this to transport things like this stack of boxes right here from my garage to the inventory space that I am in right now. Okay, so to the right of this older inventory system shelving, I have these two pile of totes. These are my upcoming Whatnot show inventory. This stack right here is standard women's clothing. I have 4 full stacks ready to go. And then this stack over here is, I think these two are men's up top. These two down here are women's plus size clothing shows. Now the boxes definitely get jumbled around throughout the week, and I'm constantly adding and taking things out of the boxes as I have shows each week. Believe it or not, I actually used to have these boxes inside my house in my family room, and I was like, why am I doing that when I have space outside? So now they found a forever home out here in my inventory space. I organize my inventory by shows. I find it so much easier for after getting home from a long day of sourcing. I immediately will cut off the tags from the thrift stores and organize my sourcing, my haul, into these show boxes. And then I also organize them by like what I want to list myself on my Poshmark and eBay. I try not to let my hauls sit around for too long because I don't know. I don't like having my stuff in all these different places. I know this is the home for my upcoming Whatnot shows, and this is where I like to keep them. And the last shelf on this wall is this one. Of course, I got this from Facebook Marketplace as well. I am always looking for cheap shelving units. This shelf here holds all of my shoes. At one point, this was organized by shoe types. I did have like a box for sneakers and a box for boots and a box for sandals, but things have gotten a little bit crazy. I do have to come through here eventually. That's on my to-do list this week, actually. I need to come through and organize this by shoe types, because when I sell a shoe at this point with all of this different stuff, it's become very hard to find the shoe that I have sold. But I do keep the shoes that I am selling separate from the clothes that I am selling. Of course, I could inventory the shoes like with my newer inventory system. I just haven't made that jump yet, but maybe in the future that is something I will do. On the back wall, I have all of these extra totes, which I did get through a bulk buyout. I have hundreds and hundreds of totes. Most of them are down in our basement because the basement is unusable. So we put a lot of like storage down there that doesn't matter if it gets wet. These are the ones I kept up here, and I have a few extra lids on this top shelf over here. I get a lot of questions about the tote sizes. These are my favorite ones, so take a screenshot or a picture. I really like this size tote. I think they're the perfect width and height. Next to my totes, I have a ginormous clothing Z-rack here. This holds all of my bulky items and coats, stuff essentially that cannot be folded up into my inventory boxes because they would just take up too much space. There is no organization to this. I just throw them on an empty hanger when I come across a nice coat, and I pull them as I need. Are you really a reseller if you don't have a bag full of recyclable bags, including the beautiful IKEA bags? I just hang them on a hanger here. Actually, this hanger has seen better days, and I have super easy access to them when I need some bags for mailing or shopping. We're circling around. This is the wall that I already showed you, my newer inventory here. This is all older inventory, the older inventory system on this wall over here. And then tucked on the right side is some more, I guess you can call them hard goods, health and beauty. It really is more health and beauty stuff. I have perfumes, colognes, and face stuff in here. A lot of jewelry up top in here. I don't know, just a lot of random stuff. Anything tiny essentially gets put in here. And in the bottom drawers, I have a lot of body washes, lotions, bigger hair care things, and same with the bottom drawer down here. This is another thing as I try to rearrange my inventory space. I would love to move this rack or this shelving unit of items somewhere else, because this is a pretty large space here that's not being fully used. So eventually this is going to go somewhere else. One last thing, I have two more things actually. I have a stepping stool out here because these shelves are obviously a lot taller than me. So I have a stepping stool so I can reach up top when I need to get the inventory out or down. And the last thing I wanted to show you is this stack of totes here. So these are the type of totes, the size totes that I use to actually hold my newer inventory system items. There's a sizing for these ones. I find they hold my newer inventory perfectly. I always have an empty one of these in my office. So while I'm photographing new clothing items, I'm able to put them into one of the empty boxes. And once that box gets full, all I do is come down here and pop it onto the newer inventory shelf behind me. And then I do that on repeat. So once the box gets full, I bring an empty one back up to my office and I just keep it there so I'm not running back and forth. And this is what one of those boxes looks like while it's full. I probably could actually combine this box with another box. There's a lot of empty space back there. And that's actually something I forgot to mention while I was comparing my old inventory system to my new inventory system. With my new inventory system, because I am not reusing the SKU numbers, once I take that item out of the box, the entire item and SKU number goes on its way to the buyer. I will be left with an empty space in that box that needs to be refilled. Otherwise, I would just have a whole shelf full of blank spaces. So I do have to come down to my inventory like once or twice every 2 weeks or so to recombine the boxes, take the items from the back and move them forward to the front as much as I can while keeping them in numerical order. That is not something I had to do while using my old inventory system with the Ziploc bags, because I reused these SKU numbers. Each letterbox could hold about 30 to 35 items and I never had to worry about recombining the boxes. So the space I was just showing you was all my listed inventory, most of it. I did have that one stack of stuff that wasn't listed, but I do a lot of bulk purchases, and this is another space in my home that I have a lot of stuff that is unlisted. Yes, all of the stuff you see right here is unlisted inventory that I have purchased in bulk. I know this may seem overwhelming to some of you, but keep in mind I'm a full-time reseller, and not just a regular reseller. I also do Whatnot live shows, so I can sell upward of 1,000 items in a week. I wanted to be sure to show you all this because it's a very big reality of being a full-time reseller. Now, you don't need to have this much inventory, but because I do live auction shows, having a lot of inventory on hand at all times is a very important factor. I do host my Whatnot shows alone. My sister sometimes does help out. She's a teacher, so depending on the month, she sometimes will do shows for me, which is great. But otherwise, I have to have a backstock of inventory because if I didn't, I would eventually run out and then I would go days and maybe even weeks without having a Whatnot show because it takes a lot of time to source enough items to have a Whatnot show. So yeah. It may seem a little bit crazy, but this is part of my inventory as well. But that's a tour of my inventory space. Like I said earlier in the video, I do hope to rearrange some stuff soon because I think there is a lot of blank space that could be filled. But this has been working for me for quite some time now. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button if you want to be notified of when I put out other reselling content. I appreciate you guys and I will see you in the next one. Smooches!